A distress call went out. Only humanity's Deathworlders responded. Ships of every shape and size drifted between star systems, carrying their crews on missions of exploration, trade, or defense. But in the edge of known space, near an uncharted region where no map had dared to mark a planet, a signal pulsed across the void. It was a distress call. Not just any call, but one filled with urgency and desperation. The signal came from the planet Elythra, home to a civilization advanced enough to communicate across light years, yet fragile in the face of a looming catastrophe. The Elythrians, beings of graceful forms and luminous eyes, had sent their call into the emptiness, hoping someone, anyone, would answer, and most ignored it. In the Grand Council of the Interstellar Alliance, representatives from dozens of species gathered to hear about Elythra's plight. "The planet is beyond help," said a tall, thin Verdant delegate, their voice like the rustling of leaves. "Environmental collapse is natural. We cannot risk our fleets for a doomed world." The council murmured in agreement. Ships were expensive, crews were precious, and no species wanted to gamble on a disaster that seemed unstoppable. But one ship, small and unassuming among the fleets of giants, turned toward the coordinates of the distress signal. The ship was Iron Resolve, and its crew were humans. Not ordinary humans, but Deathworlders, elite soldiers and explorers, trained to survive environments where others would die instantly. Humans had a reputation across the galaxy for recklessness. Other species called them daring, even foolish. But the Deathworlders had something no one else did, an instinct for surviving the impossible. Captain Mara Draven stood on the bridge of Iron Resolve, her eyes scanning the readings of the approaching system. The Elythrian signal pulsed again, urgent and rhythmic, cutting through the darkness like a beacon. Mara's jaw tightened. She could feel the tension in her crew, but she also felt the pull of purpose. Humans had always answered when others turned away. This would be no different. "Captain," said Lieutenant Rion, her communications officer, "the distress signal is getting stronger, but sensors show extreme atmospheric instability. No other fleet has dared approach." Mara nodded. "And that's why we're going." Her voice was calm, but the edges carried steel. "Prepare for entry. I want full scans and survival protocols ready. This is Elythra, and we're going where no one else will." The crew, a mix of humans bred and trained on planets hostile enough to kill ordinary species, moved with practiced efficiency. Every task was precise, every motion calculated. The Deathworlders had learned long ago that hesitation in extreme conditions was fatal. As Iron Resolve entered the system, the planet came into view. It was beautiful in a way that made danger obvious. Towering storm clouds twisted across the surface, while jagged mountains pierced the atmosphere. Rivers of molten rock cut across barren plains. Sensors detected violent seismic activity, fluctuating radiation, and chemical storms that would tear apart ordinary ships. "Looks alive," muttered one of the engineers, a tall man named Jerk, more to himself than anyone else. Mara didn't smile. "It is alive, and it's dangerous. That's why we're here. Everyone double-check your suits, scanners, and survival packs. Remember, Elythra doesn't forgive mistakes." The Elythrian signal pulsed again, more insistent this time. The message was simple: "Help us, please, anyone, before it's too late." No other species had answered, not the Ascari with their vast fleets. Not the Alari with their advanced environmental tech. Only humans, and perhaps that was what made them uniquely suited for this mission. Humans thrived where others failed. They survived where others perished. Mara watched the planet's surface grow larger in the viewscreen, storms whipping across cities and plains alike. Lightning crackled in great arcs, touching the ground in brilliant flashes. The Elythrian cities were visible through the clouds, structures tall and elegant, but fragile-looking against the raw power of their planet. Lieutenant Rion's voice cut through the tension. "Sensors are showing pockets of stability, Captain, but they're small and moving fast. Landing will be complicated." Mara leaned over the console, studying the patterns. "Complicated is our specialty." She straightened. "Helm, mark a safe landing zone near the main city. We may have only one shot at this." The crew worked in silence, their focus absolute. Outside, the planet's storms raged, as if testing the resolve of those daring to touch its surface. Iron Resolve adjusted its trajectory, descending slowly into the atmosphere. Lightning danced around the shields, heat and turbulence pushing the ship to its limits. Suddenly, the communications console beeped. The Elythrian signal had shifted, now broadcasting in a voice-like form, translating into the common language of the galaxy. "Human, please help. Our world dies. Others will not come. You are our only hope." The bridge was quiet for a moment. The plea was simple, almost childlike, yet carried the weight of desperation. Mara's hand rested lightly on the console. "We're here," she said softly. "We will help. That is what humans do." The first attempt at descent shook the ship violently. Mara gritted her teeth. She had faced hostile planets before, but Elythra was on a level of danger few could imagine. The crew adjusted shields, redirected power, and carefully maneuvered through the turbulence. Every meter mattered. One miscalculation would mean death. Hours, or what felt like hours, passed as they navigated storms, volcanic winds, and sudden plasma bursts from the planet's surface. The Deathworlders moved as one, their training making them faster, smarter, and more precise than any alien crew could be in the same situation. Finally, a narrow plateau appeared, relatively stable compared to the chaos around it. The Elythrian signal was strongest here. Mara nodded to the helm officer. "We take it slow, steady now." The landing was rough, but the ship touched down without damage. The crew let out small, quiet sighs of relief. They had done what others refused to attempt. They had landed where no one else dared. Mara looked out of the viewport at the Elythrian city below. Fires burned along the edges of broken streets, and clouds of toxic gas drifted across open areas. Figures moved frantically, trying to manage the disaster. The humans could see the panic and fear. The Elythrians were sophisticated, intelligent, but helpless against their planet's fury. Rion's voice broke the moment. "Captain, they're watching us. They don't trust anyone, not after being abandoned." Mara smiled faintly. "Then we earn their trust. That's the first step." She paused, scanning the city. "Prepare landing gear for evacuation missions. Suit up in environmental armor. We move out in 10. The crew readied themselves. They were trained to face death every day, yet even for them, Elythra was intimidating. But fear was not an option. Humans thrived in places where others would panic. They would survive, and they would help. As the Deathworlders prepared to step onto the planet's surface, Myra's mind was clear. She thought of every human who had survived against impossible odds, on Earth, on hostile colonies, in war zones no one else could endure. Elythra would test them, but humans had never turned away from a challenge. The first door of iron resolve hissed open. Storm winds howled around the hatch, carrying dust, ash, and the scent of sulfur. Mara led the way, stepping onto the unstable ground. Around her the crew followed, every step calculated yet fearless. Above, the Elythrian sky was a roiling storm, flashing with lightning and shadowed by clouds thick with toxins. Below, the cities quaked, but the humans moved with certainty, cutting through the chaos with tools, training, and raw courage. From the edge of the city, Elythrian observers watched. Their eyes were wide, their forms tense. No one else had come. No one else had dared. But humans had arrived, and for the first time in countless cycles, hope returned to Elythra. Captain Mara Draven raised her hand slightly in a gesture of reassurance, not words, just a signal that they were here, that they would help. That humans, no matter the danger, always answered the call. In that moment, among storms, fear, and uncertainty, humanity's reputation was about to grow. The Deathworlders would face Elythra's trials. They would survive. And they would show the galaxy why humans were unlike any other species. The distress call had gone out. Only one species had answered. Only humans. And now, the story of survival, courage, and human ingenuity was about to begin. The ground of Elythra trembled beneath the boots of the humans. Storm winds whipped across jagged rocks, carrying clouds of ash and toxic fumes that would have killed any ordinary being in seconds. Yet the Deathworlders moved steadily, their training keeping them balanced and focused. Captain Mara Draven led the way, scanning the horizon with a pair of reinforced vision goggles that cut through the haze. "Sensors are picking up highly unstable terrain ahead," Lieutenant Rion warned, her voice calm but tense. "The city center is about 2 kilometers that direction, but the path is hazardous." Mara nodded. "Hazardous is what we do best. Keep your eyes open, everyone. Elythra is testing us already." The crew advanced carefully, using a combination of terrain scanners, grappling hooks, and magnetic boots to traverse the uneven surface. Below them, rivers of molten rock ran through fractured valleys, and geysers of superheated gas erupted unpredictably. Lightning arced across the sky, illuminating glimpses of buildings in the city far below. Elythrians moved frantically, trying to save their technology, shelters, and lives from a planet seemingly intent on destroying them. Draven paused on a ridge and raised a hand. "We split into two teams. Team Alpha will head toward the eastern sector of the city. Team Beta, follow me to the western sector. The Elythrians are in danger everywhere. We cover as much ground as possible." Her crew nodded, their faces hidden behind armored helmets. They understood the risk. The storms were not natural. Sensors detected wild fluctuations in gravity and atmospheric pressure, as if the planet itself were alive and fighting them. Yet no hesitation showed on any human face. This was the Deathworlders' element, the situation that made them excel while others fled. Team Beta descended a rocky slope, careful to avoid the unstable ground. Each step was measured and every movement calculated. The winds were strong enough to knock over untrained beings, but humans had grown up on harsh planets, conditioned to survive. They moved with a grace that belied the danger around them. "Captain, multiple structures ahead are collapsing," Rian reported, her scanners picking up vibrations from the crumbling city blocks. "Civilians may be trapped." Mara's jaw tightened. "Then we make a path. Prepare extraction gear. No one dies if we can reach them." The first victims were near a half-collapsed building, their forms small and fragile against the jagged landscape. Elythrians were taller than humans but less durable, their limbs delicate, their skin sensitive to toxins. They looked at the humans with wide eyes, fear mixed with hope. No one had dared come here before. Mara signaled and the team moved into action. Grappling hooks and tether lines secured the structure as the Deathworlders entered, carefully lifting debris and guiding Elythrians to safety. One worker, a young Elythrian woman with luminous eyes, looked at Mara. Why do you risk your lives for us?" she asked, her voice trembling. Mara gave a small, firm smile under her helmet. "Because we're human. We answer calls when no one else will. That's what we do." The woman blinked, unable to fully comprehend the words, but the trust in her eyes was enough. Around them, more humans arrived, carrying heavy machinery improvised to stabilize dangerous areas. Every move was precise, every decision based on training, instinct, and courage. Meanwhile, the storms above grew more violent. The skies cracked with lightning and clouds churned with unnatural speed. Sensors began detecting strange energy spikes beneath the surface. Mara frowned. "This isn't just weather," she muttered. "Something is destabilizing the planet from within. The Elythrians didn't mention it in their signal." "Could it be a natural disaster?" asked one of the engineers, Jerk. Mara shook her head. "No natural disaster behaves like this. It's intelligent or at least reactive. Something is alive in ways we don't understand yet. Keep your eyes open and your minds sharper." The team pressed forward, reaching the edge of the main city. Buildings were twisted, some collapsed entirely, others shaking with every tremor. Elythrians ran through the streets, carrying injured colleagues, using whatever tools they could find. Humans moved like a river cutting through chaos, focused on helping, stabilizing, and protecting. Rian's voice came through the comms. "Captain, we've detected unusual biosigns in the western sector. Could be survivors, could be something else." "Then we investigate," Mara replied. "Team Beta, follow me. Eyes open, weapons ready, but this is rescue first. We only fight if forced." They moved through the debris, stepping carefully over broken bridges and fallen structures. The biosigns led them to a partially destroyed dome that had once been a research center. Inside, the air was thick with dust and chemical residue. A few Elythrians were trapped under fallen beams, coughing and weak. Mara assessed the scene quickly. "We need leverage points to lift these beams safely. Jerk, rig the hydraulic lifters. Rian, scan for structural weaknesses." Within minutes, humans were moving the massive debris with precision. No Elythrian could have survived this without help, but the Deathworlders worked like a single organism, fast, efficient, and fearless. One of the trapped Elythrians, an elder with skin that shimmered like molten silver, looked up. "You are different," he said weakly. "No one else would come here." Mara crouched beside him. "We survive in places others cannot. We answer calls that others ignore." "That is who we are." The elder nodded faintly, relief washing over his features. "Then perhaps your species is meant for greater deeds than we imagined." As the team finished their rescues, another tremor shook the ground violently. Windows shattered and a section of the dome began to collapse. Mara grabbed a small Elythrian child and pulled her to safety. Rian helped an injured adult, while Jerk guided the last survivor out. Outside, the storm raged more fiercely. Lightning struck closer than before, and winds threatened to sweep the humans off their feet. Yet they stood firm, holding the survivors and retreating slowly to safer ground. Once all were out, Mara took a moment to assess the situation. The Elythrians were alive, but their planet was far from safe. "We need to understand what is causing this," she said. "There's something beneath the surface destabilizing everything. It's more than just a natural disaster." Rian nodded. "Scans show strange energy readings. It's concentrated deep underground like a living network of reactions, could be the source of the storms and quakes." Mara studied the readings. "Then we go deeper. We find the heart of the problem and stop it. Nothing else works." The Elythrians watched them warily. Their eyes, wide with fear and awe, followed the humans as they prepared to move again. The trust had begun, but it was fragile. If the humans failed, all would die. Yet Mara and her team were undeterred. "Suit up for deeper exploration," she ordered. "We'll need protective gear, portable shields, and environmental sensors. No mistakes. We have one chance to understand this planet and save its people." As the humans prepared, the Elythrian city seemed to pause for a moment, almost as if the planet itself were holding its breath. Humans had landed where others fled. They had saved lives no one else thought could be saved. Now they were preparing to face the unknown beneath Elythra's surface. Mara looked at her crew, her voice firm and resolute. "This is why we exist, not to stay safe, not to live in comfort. We exist to face the impossible. Elythra will test us, but we are humans. We survive. We adapt, and we will not fail." The Deathworlders moved toward the unstable zone, stepping into the heart of danger with confidence. Storms howled, the ground shook, and molten rivers glowed like molten metal beneath the surface. Yet they advanced, determined to reach the source of the chaos. As they approached the edge of a massive fissure, sensors detected an unnatural energy field below. The readings fluctuated violently, pulsing like the heartbeat of the planet itself. Mara's eyes narrowed. "This is it," she said. "Whatever is destabilizing Elythra, that's our target. Stay close, move carefully, and remember, nothing kills us if we refuse to be killed." The Deathworlders descended into the fissure, each step a test of courage and skill. The air was thick, visibility low, and every movement dangerous. Yet the humans pressed forward, using tools, sensors, and sheer determination to navigate the treacherous terrain. Below them, deep within the planet, something stirred. A subtle vibration, almost like a pulse, resonated through the rocks. Mara felt it through her boots. The planet was alive in a way no one had anticipated. "Captain," Rian said, voice tight, This is more than environmental collapse. It's reacting to us." "Like it knows we're here," Mara nodded. "Then we proceed. Humans have faced worse. Elythra is dangerous, but we are trained for this. Every step counts, every decision matters. Keep moving." As the first team reached the bottom of the fissure, they discovered glowing veins of energy running through the rock. The planet's instability was caused by a strange, semi-organic network. It pulsed, shifted, and seemed to respond to the humans' presence. Mara knelt, scanning the phenomenon. "We've found it. This network, this is what's causing the storms, the quakes, the chaos. We have to stabilize it before the entire planet collapses." Her crew gathered around, ready for the task ahead. They were humans, trained for Deathworlds, unmatched in courage and ingenuity. And Elythra's challenge had only just begun. The fissure stretched before them like a jagged wound in the planet's surface. Glowing veins of energy pulsed through the walls, casting eerie light on the humans' armored suits. Captain Mara Draven took a deep breath, feeling the vibrations of Elythra beneath her boots. Every tremor was a warning. Every pulse of energy was alive, aware, reacting to their presence. "This is worse than we imagined," said Lieutenant Rian, scanning the semi-organic network. "The entire system is interconnected. Disturb one part and the rest destabilizes even faster." Mara nodded. "Then we proceed carefully. No rushing. We are human. We survive where others would fail. Stick to the plan." The Deathworlders split into smaller teams to cover more ground. Each human moved with precision, using specialized equipment to probe the glowing veins and gather data on the planet's strange energy. Their goal was to understand how to stabilize the network before it destroyed the Elythrian cities above. Even as they worked, the dangers of Elythra pressed in. Sections of the fissure collapsed without warning, releasing clouds of toxic gas. Lava pockets erupted from hidden chambers, and the ground trembled violently under their feet. Most species would have turned back in panic. Humans thrived in chaos. One team, led by Jerk, encountered a collapsed tunnel. Trapped Elythrians called out from inside. Without hesitation, the humans began lifting debris using hydraulic arms and improvised levers. Every movement had to be precise. One mistake could crush the Elythrians or trigger a collapse. Myra watched the rescue over her comms. Good, keep going. Remember, survival isn't just about you, it's about those who can't save themselves. The rescued Elythrians were weak, barely able to walk. Humans guided them to safer ground, offering portable environmental shields to protect them from toxins and heat. Every action built trust. The Elythrians had feared abandonment, but the humans proved they would never leave. As the teams moved deeper, strange phenomena intensified. The glowing veins of energy reacted to their presence, flaring and twisting as though alive. Sensors picked up rhythmic pulses, almost like a heartbeat. It was clear that Elythro itself was defending its network. "Captain," Rian said, her voice tight with concern, "the network seems aware of us. It's reacting to our scanning. Every time we probe, it changes, making stability harder to achieve." Mara's eyes narrowed. "Then we adapt. That's what humans do. We don't retreat. We learn, we adjust, and we act." They proceeded cautiously, using patterns and methods to anticipate the network's reactions. The Deathworlders were masters of improvisation. Every obstacle was met with a creative solution. Tethered drones to test unstable sections, portable shields to block energy surges, and holographic decoys to divert dangerous pulses. Hours passed, and exhaustion began to weigh on the crew. But humans were resilient. They worked in shifts, using short breaks to restore strength while keeping the mission on track. Elythra's dangers were constant, but their focus never wavered. Suddenly, a massive tremor shook the fissure. A portion of the floor collapsed, creating a chasm too wide to cross. On the other side, sensors detected several Elythrians trapped in a partially destroyed structure. Mara clenched her fists. "We cannot leave them. Prepare a bridging system. Jerk, your team goes first." Within minutes, humans constructed a stable bridge using modular panels, reinforced with magnetic tethers. Every piece clicked into place with precision. Team members crossed carefully, guiding Elythrians across one by one. When the last Elythrian was safe, a sudden flare erupted from the energy network. Pulses shot toward the humans, disrupting equipment and knocking several off their feet. Myra leapt forward, shielding Rian as sparks flew. "Move." "Now," she shouted, her voice steady despite the chaos. The humans surged forward, instinct and training carrying them through the flare. The Elythrians followed, protected by human shields and guidance. Once the flare subsided, Mara checked her team. Every member accounted for. Every Elythrian safe. Rian exhaled. "That was close, too close." Mara shook her head. "Close is our everyday. We survive. That's what makes us human." As they advanced, they discovered something unexpected. The network's energy veins led to a central chamber deep below the planet's surface. It pulsed with a radiant glow, and the energy seemed to swirl in patterns, almost as if the planet itself were alive. "This is the heart of Elythra," Mara said quietly. "Everything originates here. If we stabilize this, we stabilize the planet." Jerk stepped forward, scanning the chamber. "It's semi-organic. It's like a living organism, but not entirely biological. Maybe a symbiotic structure between minerals and energy. If it reacts to life forms, it explains the instability." Mara studied the readings. "Then we must approach carefully. No unnecessary risk. Every move matters. One wrong action could collapse the entire system." They advanced slowly, placing stabilizing devices along the veins, adjusting parameters to match the network's pulse. Every step was delicate, every decision crucial. The network pulsed faster, almost as if testing their intentions. Then from the shadows, a strange form appeared. Other species might have panicked at the sight, a massive, semi-transparent creature, its body flowing like liquid light. But humans did not flinch. "It's a sentinel," Rian whispered, "protecting the heart." "It's responding to our presence." Myra stepped forward. "We mean no harm. We are here to stabilize, not destroy. Move carefully. Show it we are allies." The sentinel studied them, pulsing in rhythm with the network. It swirled around the humans, examining their equipment and movements. Then, as if deciding they were trustworthy, it moved aside, allowing them to continue. "Good," Mara said. "Keep going, respect the planet, work with it, and we'll succeed." The humans worked tirelessly, placing stabilization devices at key points. The network's pulses gradually became steadier, its reactions less violent. The planet's tremors lessened, though danger remained. As the day, or what felt like a day in the subterranean chamber, progressed, the humans noticed another challenge. Sections of the network were overgrown with alien biomatter, acting like a parasite and destabilizing the entire system. "We have to remove it," Mara said. "Jerk, prepare cutting tools. Rian, analyze the energy fluctuations. We can't let this continue." The teams worked in tandem, carefully excising the parasitic growth without damaging the network. Sparks flew, devices beeped warnings, and the chamber shook with every movement. Yet humans adapted, improvising solutions faster than any alien species could have. Finally, after hours of precise work, the network stabilized. Pulses flowed evenly, tremors subsided, and the energy seemed to hum with a calm rhythm. The planet, for the first time in cycles, seemed to breathe. Mara exhaled, looking at her crew. "We did it. Elithro is stable for now." Rian smiled faintly. "And no one else would have dared this mission, not the Ascari, not the Ilari, only humans." Mara nodded. "We thrive where others fail. That is humanity. Never forget it." As they prepared to return to the surface, Elithrian observers appeared at the chamber's entrance. They had followed cautiously, trusting the humans' intentions but wary of their technology and methods. The leader the elder Myra had spoken to earlier stepped forward. "You are extraordinary," the elder said, his voice filled with awe. "No species would have ventured into the heart of Elithra and survived. You have saved our people. You have earned our trust." Mara bowed slightly. "We are humans. We answer calls others ignore. We survive when others cannot. That is who we are." The elder studied her, then nodded. "Then perhaps humanity is the species the galaxy needs. Courage, resilience, and wisdom all in one. You are Deathworlders born to face the impossible." Mara allowed herself a small smile. "Thank you, but the planet is still dangerous. We will stay until the Elithrians can manage on their own. Safety is not a gift, it is earned." The Elithrians nodded, understanding that survival was a partnership, not a gift from outsiders. The humans had proven that with courage, intelligence, and persistence, even the most deadly challenges could be overcome. As the Deathworlders ascended back to the surface, storms had lessened, though the sky remained turbulent. Elithrians moved through the streets, stabilizing their city with guidance from the humans. Children and elders watched the humans with wide eyes, awe and gratitude written clearly on their faces. Mara's voice came over the comms. "Teams, regroup. We have one final task before we can rest. Establish long-term stabilization and evacuation routes for the Elithrians. We've proven we can survive here, but the planet remains unpredictable." The team nodded. Exhaustion tugged at them, but determination carried them forward. Humans had faced worse conditions, and Elithra, dangerous as it was, would not defeat them. That night, as the storms began to calm, Mara looked at the glowing city below. Elithra was still alive, still dangerous, but humans had carved a path through chaos. They had saved lives, proven resilience, and earned the trust of a species that had once believed they were alone. She allowed herself a moment of pride. Humanity had answered the call when no one else would, and the story was far from over. Tomorrow they would face the next challenge, delving deeper into the mysteries of Elithra and discovering the full truth behind its instability. But for tonight, the humans survived, and that was victory enough. The surface of Elithra had grown eerily quiet. For the first time since the humans landed, the storms had calmed enough to reveal the jagged terrain, molten rivers, and twisted cityscapes in full view. Yet the calm was deceptive. Captain Mara Draven knew better than anyone that the planet was far from tamed. Beneath the surface, the semi-organic network pulsed, its strange energy veins still reacting to life above. "This is it," Mara said, addressing her team as they prepared to descend again. "The heart of Elithra. If we stabilize this, we save the planet and everyone on it. But it will not be easy." Lieutenant Rian, scanning the unstable terrain, nodded. "The energy spikes are highest here. We'll need precision or the network could retaliate violently." "Then we do what humans do best," Mara said firmly. "Adapt, improvise, survive." The Deathworlders, humans bred and trained for exactly this type of environment, moved with a confidence that belied the danger. Every step was calculated, every motion deliberate. Portable shields were deployed, environmental suits fully sealed, and scanners swept constantly for hidden dangers. The team descended through a massive crater that led to the epicenter of the network. Glowing veins crisscrossed walls and floors, pulsating with a rhythm that seemed almost alive. Occasionally, flashes of energy surged outward, forcing the humans to duck or retreat behind shields. Yet they advanced steadily, undeterred. Jerk, the engineer, adjusted a stabilizing device. "Captain, these energy flows are unlike anything we've seen. It's reactive. Every adjustment triggers another pulse somewhere else." Mara watched the readings carefully. "Then we work incrementally, one step at a time. Test, adapt, stabilize. The network is smart, but it isn't human. We think, plan, and execute. It reacts, but we control the situation." As they moved deeper, the Deathworlders encountered another challenge. Massive fissures opened suddenly, releasing bursts of gas and molten rock. Rian quickly deployed tethered drones to test the ground ahead. Sparks flew, and the heat shimmered across the rocky walls. "Stay close," Myra instructed. "No one moves alone. One wrong step, and we lose more than equipment. We could lose lives." The humans advanced in perfect coordination. Their training on Deathworlds, planets far harsher than Elythra, had prepared them for this. Others would have panicked. Humans thrived under conditions that were meant to kill. Suddenly, the energy veins pulsed violently, and a bright flare shot across the chamber. The humans ducked behind portable shields, feeling the heat radiate against their suits. The network seemed to test them like a living organism assessing intruders. Mara's voice cut through the comms. "Steady, observe, adapt. This is what humans do. Don't react blindly. Respond intelligently." The flare subsided, and the Deathworlders carefully resumed their work. Using a combination of precision tools and human intuition, they adjusted the network's energy flows, matching the pulses to the planet's natural rhythm. Every movement required focus, courage, and calm under pressure. Hours passed as they worked, slowly stabilizing sections of the network. The energy veins, pulses gradually became steadier, though tension remained. Mara knew that the planet's core was still volatile. One miscalculation could trigger earthquakes, storms, or worse. "Captain," Rian said, her voice tight, "there's a central node ahead. All pulses converge there. This is the source of the instability." Mara studied the readings. "Then that's where we focus, the heart of Elythra. Once this is stable, the entire network stabilizes. We have one chance." The humans approached the central node cautiously. It glowed with a radiant, almost liquid energy. The semi-organic network pulsed around it, reacting to their presence. The Deathworlders set up stabilization devices, carefully calibrating each one to the node's unique energy pattern. Then came the unexpected challenge. The node reacted violently. Energy pulses surged outward, knocking several humans to the ground. Portable shields flickered under the intensity. "Brace yourselves," Mara shouted. "This is the final test." The team adjusted quickly, using flexible tether systems and reinforced shields. Jerk deployed additional devices to absorb the excess energy, while Rian monitored fluctuations and communicated adjustments in real time. Despite the chaos, humans remained calm and focused. Their training had prepared them for extreme conditions: storms, radiation, toxic environments, and deadly terrain. Elythra's energy pulses were just another challenge. Slowly, incrementally, the node's pulses began to stabilize. The violent flares lessened, and the surrounding energy veins started to harmonize. The planet trembled, but the shaking was weaker, more controlled. Mara looked at her team. "Keep going, almost there. Every adjustment counts." As the final devices were placed and calibrated, a profound calm spread through the chamber. The semi-organic network pulsed gently, almost like a heartbeat in rhythm with itself. Elythra, once wild and dangerous, had begun to stabilize. The humans allowed themselves a brief moment of relief. They had done what no other species could have accomplished. The Deathworlders had survived the heart of Elythra's storm, proving their unmatched skill, courage, and ingenuity. But there was one final task. The parasitic growth that had interfered with the network earlier remained in some areas. It needed removal for long-term stability. Mara directed teams to carefully excise the parasitic sections, using precision tools and controlled energy pulses. Sparks flew, and some veins pulsed aggressively in response. Yet humans adapted, improvising solutions faster than the planet could react. Minutes stretched into hours, but the final parasite was removed. The network stabilized completely, and the central node pulsed with steady energy. Elythra's storms above began to calm, its surface tremors diminished, and the toxic clouds began to settle. "We did it," Rian whispered, awe in her voice. "The planet, it's alive but stable." "We saved it," Myra allowed herself a small smile. "Humans thrive where others cannot. We adapt, we endure, we overcome. That's who we are." The Elythrians, who had cautiously followed the humans, now approached the central chamber. They moved slowly, observing the stabilized network with wide eyes. Their leader, the silver-skinned elder, stepped forward. "You have done what no species dared," he said, his voice filled with awe. "Elythra was on the brink of destruction. You have saved our people." "You are extraordinary," Mara nodded. "We are humans. We answer calls others ignore. We survive where others fail. That is our nature." The elder studied her. "Then perhaps humanity is the species the galaxy needs, courageous, resilient, and wise. You have earned the title of Deathworlders. You are legendary." Mara looked around at her crew. Exhaustion weighed on them, but pride and satisfaction filled their hearts. Elythra had tested them, yet they had prevailed. Every challenge, every hazard, every pulse of danger had been met with human determination. "Prepare for surface extraction," Mara ordered. "We need to guide the Elythrians back to their cities and ensure long-term stability. Our mission is not over until their people are safe above ground." The ascent was cautious but uneventful. Elythra's surface had begun to settle, though signs of the previous chaos remained. Fires smoldered in distant areas, molten rivers cooled slightly, and the once violent storms had slowed to manageable winds. Humans helped Elythrians back to safe zones, guiding them through the city with portable shields and environmental controls. The alien people moved with a mixture of awe and relief, witnessing the courage and precision of humans firsthand. One young Elythrian child, holding the hand of a Deathworlder, looked up at Mara. "You came when no one else would. You are brave, like heroes." Mara knelt slightly. "We are humans. Helping others is what we do. Courage is not born, it's chosen, and we chose to help you." The child smiled faintly, understanding the meaning even if the full words were beyond comprehension. Around them, the Elythrians began to stabilize their cities, guided by the humans' instructions and devices left for long-term planetary stability. That night, as Elythra's skies cleared and storms subsided, Mara stood on a ridge overlooking the city. The planet, once on the brink of collapse, was now alive but stable. The Deathworlders had faced the heart of the storm, and they had survived. "Humanity answers where others fear to tread," she said softly. "We are Deathworlders. We survive, we endure, we protect. And we always answer the call." Below, the Elythrians watched with gratitude and respect. Their world was saved, their civilization preserved, and their hope renewed, all because humans had dared to go where no one else would. The story was far from over. Elythra would continue to challenge its inhabitants, but the humans had proven that courage, ingenuity, and determination could overcome even the deadliest worlds. And somewhere in the stars, other species would remember that when a distress call went out, there was only one species that would answer without hesitation. Humanity. Elythra's skies glowed softly with the first light of dawn. The storms had calmed, leaving a haze of ash and mist that caught the rising sun. From the ridge overlooking the city, Captain Mara Draven watched the humans and Elythrians move through the streets. The city was alive again, its people working together, rebuilding what had been damaged, and adjusting to a planet that had once seemed impossible to survive. "Status report," Mara said, turning to Lieutenant Rian. "All stabilization devices are active," Rian replied. "The network is stable and the planetary tremors are minimal. We've also set up long-range monitoring stations to detect any future instability." Mara nodded. "Good. That gives the Elythrians a chance to recover and thrive. Our mission is almost complete, but we remain until every life is safe." Humans moved through the city like shadows of assurance. Portable shields accompanied Elythrians as they repaired infrastructure. Emergency medical teams, led by human medics, treated injuries and monitored vital signs. Children watched in awe as the humans calmly navigated hazards, their armor glinting in the morning light, their movements confident and precise. One young Elythrian approached Mara. "Captain," the child said in halting common, "you saved our world. You are humans." Mara smiled gently. Yes, and humans answer calls when no one else will. We help because it is the right thing to do. The child's eyes widened with understanding. Then you are heroes. Mara knelt slightly to meet the child's gaze. Heroes are not born, they are made. Today, everyone who survives Elithra who helps others is a hero. We are just doing our part. Meanwhile, Jerk and his engineering team oversaw the deployment of permanent stabilization nodes. The semi-organic network beneath Elithra had been tamed, but it required careful monitoring. Every node was equipped with energy regulators and fail-safes designed by human engineers, ensuring the planet could maintain its balance even in times of natural stress. Rian approached Myra with a report. We've also mapped the remaining unstable zones. With Elithrian cooperation, the planet can now be fully managed. Their species has the capacity to maintain stability, and our devices will guide them until they are ready to manage it independently. Mara exhaled, feeling the tension of the past days slowly lift. Then it's time we prepare to leave. Elithra is safe, and the Elithrians will endure. But as the humans packed equipment and prepared to return to Iron Resolve, a group of Elithrian leaders approached. Their eyes were bright with gratitude, their expressions serious. Captain Draven, the silver-skinned elder began, you and your crew have done more than survive. You have saved lives, our cities, and our world. Your courage is unmatched. The galaxy must know of your deeds. Mara inclined her head respectfully. We do not seek fame. We answer the call because it is right. That is what humans do. The elder smiled. Then we will honor you. Your people will be remembered as the saviors of Elithra. You are not merely visitors, you are legends. As the Elithrians celebrated quietly in their homes, Mara's team conducted final checks. Environmental suits were sealed, ships prepped for launch, and communication systems verified. Iron Resolve was ready, and so were its crew. Humans had endured Elithra's deadliest trials, and now the mission's final phase awaited. Departure and a return to the stars, leaving behind a world forever changed by humanity. Before boarding, Mara looked over the city one last time. Children laughed cautiously in the streets, adults worked to repair and rebuild, and the elders moved through the squares with calm assurance. Elithra was alive, balanced, and ready to thrive. Everyone ready? Mara called. Ready, Captain, Rian replied. Then let's go home. The Deathworlders moved to the ship, carrying supplies and leaving behind stabilization nodes that pulsed softly with energy. Elithrian observers followed them to the landing site, their eyes filled with respect and gratitude. As the humans boarded Iron Resolve, the elder spoke one final time. Humans, you will always be welcome on Elithra. Your courage has no equal. You are the guardians no one else dared to be. Myra nodded. We only answered the call. That is enough. Iron Resolve lifted off the ground smoothly. The atmosphere pushed against its hull as it ascended, leaving Elithra behind. From orbit, the planet looked like a jewel glowing in the void. Storms still touched the edges of the continents, but the chaos was gone. Elithra had been given a chance to survive. In the ship's observation deck, the crew watched silently. There was pride, satisfaction, and a quiet sense of accomplishment. They had faced one of the deadliest worlds known to any species and had survived. More than that, they had saved an entire civilization. Humans are remarkable, one Elithrian observer aboard the ship whispered. No other species would have come. Captain Mara Draven smiled faintly. We answer the call, it's who we are. The galaxy beyond Elithra stretched endlessly, stars glittering against the darkness. Mara knew there would be more calls, more worlds in peril, and more situations that would challenge even the most capable species. But humans were ready. Humans thrived where others failed, endured where others fled, and persevered where others gave up. Jerk broke the silence, speaking with a hint of humor. Next time, Captain, maybe we answer a distress call from a planet that isn't trying to kill us. Mara chuckled softly. Where's the fun in that? Humans are built for the impossible. If it's easy, anyone can do it. We do the impossible. The crew laughed quietly, tension finally lifting from their shoulders. Elithra had been a trial like no other, but it had proven their strength, courage, and ingenuity. They were humans, they were Deathworlders, and no challenge was beyond their reach. Days later, when the story of Elithra's survival reached the wider galaxy, other species spoke in hushed tones of the humans who dared to descend into the heart of a living, hostile planet and emerge victorious. Ships that had once ignored distress signals now reconsidered their policies. Leaders of distant civilizations noted the bravery and capability of humans, realizing that in the vast universe, only humans could face the impossible with such skill, courage, and determination. Back aboard Iron Resolve, Myra and her crew set a course for the next mission. The galaxy was wide, full of danger and opportunity. Wherever distress signals called out, humans would answer. It was not pride, it was instinct, training, and the unyielding determination that made humanity exceptional. As Elithra shrank behind them into the distance, Myra looked at the stars. "Another call will come," she said softly. "Another world will need us, we will go." "We always go," Lieutenant Rion nodded, scanning incoming communications. "And when we do, we will survive, we always do." The crew prepared for the journey ahead. Humanity had proven its place among the stars. Deathworlders had faced death, chaos, and the unknown, and had triumphed. And across the galaxy, one truth became clear. When a world cried out in desperation, no other species answered as humanity did. Humans were relentless, resourceful, and courageous. Humanity's reputation as the ultimate survivors, the Deathworlders, was etched into the memory of Elithra and soon into the galaxy itself. The stars stretched endlessly before them, and Iron Resolve surged forward, carrying the humans toward their next adventure, their next impossible challenge, and the next call that only they would answer. For in the galaxy, one fact remained undeniable. Humans survived where others could not. Humans persevered where others failed, and humans always answered the call. And so the story of Elithra ended, not with death and despair, but with hope, courage, and the unmistakable mark of humanity.